Hello and welcome back to Napier, New Zealand. I'm Paul of Enthusiasts of British Motor Vehicles, and I'm back at Perfume Point for the monthly car meet. It's a fine sunny day, around 20 degrees Celsius at 8:30 a.m, and we're expecting a good turnout. Exhibits this month include British, American, European and Japanese cars, and so this video is going to be organised into those categories to help you find what you're most interested in. Just use the chapters in the description below. We will get started by looking at the British cars right after this message. Introducing Enthusiasts of British Motor Vehicles Insurance, which has been designed for us by the expert team at Peter James Insurance and gives our members access to a range of exclusive benefits that can include free salvage retention and multi-vehicle options. So to get a free no obligation quote for your insurance cover, just click on the link in the description below. Starting off with the British, here's this lovely blue 1937 Ford 10. This one is in fact the Ford 7W10, which is an updated version of the model C10. Same engine, but had an updated, stiffer braced design and better brakes. This was also the precursor to the first model to carry the prefect badge in 1939. Bright red Ford Cortina GT with a 1500cc engine. Of course now we refer to them as the Mark 1, but at the time it was the only Cortina they'd ever made, so it was just a Cortina. 1966 this one. And this green beauty is the Jaguar XK8, launched in 1996 to replace the outgoing XJS model. Triumph Stag, sold between 1970 and 1978, designed by Giovanni Michelotti. The Ford Capri was built by Ford of Europe, designed by Philip T. Clark, who was also involved in the design of the Ford Mustang. It used the mechanical components from the Mark II Ford Cortina. It went on to be highly successful for Ford, selling nearly 1.9 million units. The Ford Escort is a small family car manufactured by Ford of Europe from 1968 until 2000. In total there were 6 generations. This one is the Mark II. It was frequently the best-selling car in Britain during the 1980s and 1990s, and in total more than 4.1 million Escorts of all generations were sold in Britain over a period of 33 years. The Morris Minor was produced between 1948 and 1971. It made its debut at the Earl's Court Motor Show in October 1948 and was designed under the leadership of Alvis TD21. More than 1.6 million were manufactured. It was the first British car to sell over a million and is considered a classic example of automotive design. This red car is an early 1949 example. This one's known as the Lowlight for obvious reasons, also given away by the split windscreen. This yellow example was built 10 years later in 1959. The old side-valve engine from the Series MM has gone to be replaced by a 948cc A-Series engine. The headlights have been repositioned higher on the wings, and we no longer have the split windscreen. This Hillman Super Minx was built in 1966 and has a 1725cc engine. And no prizes for identifying this late 1960s Mark II Ford Cortina 1600E, the one everyone wanted in those days. This Ford Zodiac was originally built in 1957 and has been heavily modified. It's now a two-door and has a 5.7 litre American power unit, not to mention the front grille. This Roadster is a 1992 JBA Falcon, built by a company based in Norwich. Many Falcons were built using Ford Sierra underpinnings. Sadly, JBA Engineering went into administration in 2007. Regular viewers will recall this Alvis from our December video. As you can see, the owner returned, and this time he brought the co-owner, his grandson, along with him. Released in 1961 as more luxurious versions of the Mini, both the Wolseley Hornet and the Riley Elf had longer, slightly finned rear wings and larger boots that gave the cars a more conventional three-box design. Front-end treatment, which incorporated each marque's traditional upright grille design, also contributed to a less utilitarian appearance. In the foreground is a 1975 Ford Cortina Mark III, that's the GT model, and passing in the background is the Hawke's Bay Express, a tourist special. The Cortina went on sale on 23rd October 1970, but sales got off to a slow start because of production difficulties culminating in a 10-week strike at Ford's plant. Volumes recovered, and with the aging Austin Morris 1100 and 1300 now losing out to various newer models, the Cortina was Britain's top-selling car in 1972, closely followed by the Escort. It remained the UK's top-selling car until 1976, when it was overtaken by the Escort. The existing Jaguar XK8 model was joined by the more powerful XKR in 1998. The XKR featured a supercharged V8 engine rated at 370 brake horsepower.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but if you're enjoying it, we need your help. All we're asking is for you to take just a second to hit the subscribe button, and also do the same with the like button. Thank you, we do appreciate your support.
Introduced in 1966, the Charger was an effort by Dodge to produce an upscale, upsized pony car, a concept pioneered by Ford's Mustang, but positioned as a more expensive and luxurious coupe than the Ford. At a base price of $2,964 US, the Newport was the least expensive Chrysler model, intended to appeal to owners of the discontinued DeSoto brand. Whilst it was successful and comprised the bulk of Chrysler production, the base Newport sedans were simply modest trim package versions of Chrysler's traditional upscale models. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air is considered by many to be an icon of its age, right up there alongside Elvis, Marilyn Monroe and Leave It to Beaver, and it's among the most recognisable American cars of all time. Well-maintained examples, especially sport coupes and convertibles, are highly sought after by collectors and enthusiasts. They are roomy with tastefully restrained, period-use fin tails and chrome. In the mid-1930s, Ford Motor Company President Edsel Ford was beginning to worry about the ever-increasing competition from Oldsmobile and Buick. Ford needed a car that offered style, comfort and luxury at a mid-market price. The deluxe line of upmarket Fords was introduced for 1938. Originally predicted to sell just 100,000 vehicles yearly, the 1965 Mustang became the most successful vehicle launch since the 1927 Model A. Introduced on April 17, 1964, just 16 days after the Plymouth Barracuda, over 400,000 units were sold in its first year. The 1 millionth Mustang was sold within 2 years of its launch. The Ford Fairlane was sold between 1955 and 1970 in North America. Taking its name from the Michigan estate of Henry Ford, the Fairlane name was used for 7 different generations of vehicles. Throughout its production, the range would be marketed in a wide variety of body styles, including 2- and 4-door saloons, station wagons, and both traditional and retractable hardtop convertibles. The Chevelle was produced by Chevrolet in 3 generations between 1964 and 1977. Part of the General Motors A-body platform, the Chevelle was one of Chevrolet's most successful models. De Ville denoted Cadillac's mainstream model. The 1970 model year was both the last year that De Ville offered a convertible body style and for pillared saloons until hardtops were permanently dropped in 1977. Just over 180,000 De Villes were sold for that model year, accounting for 76% of all Cadillacs. The first Australian Dodge Phoenix, coded the PD4, was released in May 1960. A Canadian Dodge with a Plymouth dashboard, it was imported in CKD packs and assembled at Chrysler Australia's South Australia Mile End facility. The Phoenix name was derived from the Dodge Dart Phoenix on which it was based. The car seen here is an SD2 of 1962, featuring a shorter and completely new body, which was shorter and narrower than its predecessor, now being based on the downsized US Dodge Dart. Chevrolet Malibu was built by Chevrolet between 1964 and 1983 and again since 1997. The model began as a trim level of the Chevrolet Chevelle but became its own model in 1978. Originally rear-wheel drive, GM revived the Malibu name as a front-wheel drive car in 1997. The Pontiac GTO was judged by what lay under its twin-scooped hood, and the 1970 model offered a number of big bore choices. The standard engine, shared with the Grand Prix, Firebird and Trans Am, was Pontiac's 400 cubic inch V8. If you watched the December video from this same car show, you may recall this Fiat, and the owner had told me that he was debating selling. As you can see, he's now made his decision and it is for sale. During the early stages of World War II, Volvo decided that a new smaller car that could give good fuel economy would safeguard the company's future. The PV quickly earned a reputation for being strong and rugged, although the design was considered outdated from early on. The Renault 4CV was produced from August 1947 until July 1961. It's a four-door with a rear-mounted engine and drives the rear wheels. It was the first French car to sell over 1 million units and was eventually superseded by the Dauphine. The Volkswagen Beetle, officially the Volkswagen Type 1, was built by the German company Volkswagen from 1938 until 2003. In the 1999 Car of the Century competition to determine the world's most influential car in the 20th century, the Type 1 came fourth, after the Ford Model T, the Mini and the Citroën DS. Since you're still here, we can only assume you've been enjoying the video, which is great. Please show your appreciation by subscribing, click on the like button, and why not leave us a comment? We do always respond, and it really helps us out. Thanks very much. Come back next month for another video from Perfume Point in New Zealand.